Hello there, men, and welcome to the Masculinism Movement channel, a place for men to be men and talk about masculinity and men's rights and issues. I'm your host, Brian Crawl, and today we are going to be talking more about the sacred masculine archetype, specifically the Phallus archetype or concept or philosophy in this part 2 of this series. One of the greatest and most ancient philosophies in the world besides Chinese philosophy is Indian philosophy, or the Vedas and Tantras, which gave rise to both Hinduism and Buddhism later on. In Indian mythology, and keep in mind I'm talking about Indian from India, not Native American or Latin American or Caribbean Indians, which aren't really Indians. But in Indian mythology, as found in Hinduism and Buddhism from India, and which is also influential throughout the East, they follow the same levels of cosmology and creationism as I described in Taoism in the previous video, that there was once a void and then a universal consciousness they call Brahman created the universe, which is one great body in a state of oneness, but which beneath there is polarity and duality and a myriad of other dimensions and levels as well. And they have a symbol for this polarity, like the yin-yang symbol, or yin-yang technically, but a bit more pole-like. See, whereas the yin-yang symbol is circular, theirs is the phallic symbol, or the phallus, also known as a lingam or Shiva Lingam, which is the symbol of a penis. Now, this is something that, of course, could be drawn, but it's also something that takes place in the physical world, in a stone or a statue or idol. And that could be made out of any mineral or stone, and sometimes it'll be more straight and elongated. Other times it'll be more elliptical. Sometimes it'll be natural stone, naturally occurring. Other times it'll be carved. And oftentimes it will sit on the symbol of a vagina, called a yoni pitam, and milk and other fluids get poured over it, and they do magical rituals to it, and it's supposed to be able to store and amass powerful spiritual energy, which I think is pretty cool. And these rituals are quite fantastic. I know, because I used to attend one of these temples and was a member there for many years, studying under the guru and even getting initiated. So the phallus is both a symbol and also something that is more real. And this is what it looks like when you have it in its idol form. So this part here, that is the phallus. This part around it is the yoni. Okay, and together they make a Shiva Lingam. Now, obviously it corresponds to our genitals as men and represents our actual penises, the thing that makes us a man, which is very significant to masculinity for, that reason, as we discussed in the previous video on what is a man. But it also represents a god, the god that the phallus originally belonged to, one of the members of the Hindu trinity of the three highest gods. So the phallus represents both one half of the cosmos, the yang side, while the yoni represents the yin side. But the phallus also represents the god that it comes from, that is part of the Hindu trinity of Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the sustainer, and Shiva, the destroyer and recreator. You see, it is Shiva, the god of destruction and recreation, death and rebirth, who is the god who owns the phallus that represents the sacred masculine, which is why it is called a Shiva Lingam. And it is he who pulled feminine energy called Kundalini and Shakti energies from the base of his spine near his phallus and used them to create the first goddess, and thus then the entire pantheon of goddesses beneath her. So it is his phallus that unites with the yoni, and when these two halves come together, that is when new life is created through Shiva, the god who also must destroy and kill everything that is at its end. So this mythos has to do with the circle of life, which the sacred masculine plays a prominent role in as it seeds new life. And also, it's worth mentioning that the entire Hindu trinity of gods is all masculine as well. All three of them are male. And that these gods also had multiple wives or whole harems, like Vishnu, who had a harem of 16,000 wives. If you're enjoying listening to what I have to say, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you feel I'm adding value to your life, you can also tip me at the PayPal link below in proportion to the amount of value added. Your support will help me be able to continue this work because the oppressive fascists at YouTube are against this kind of content and actively trying to suppress it. So it is only with the help of viewers like you that I'll be able to keep fighting the good fight. But I know you're probably wondering what this phallic symbol actually symbolized and who Shiva is, for as its owner, he represents the sacred masculine archetype as well. The phallic symbol represents the sacred masculine in Shiva, and it represents divinity and the connection to heaven that you get when you travel upward along the plane that it connects to with its polarity, as well as the rapture that you can experience when your penis travels upward by getting erect. And then channels its energies upward as well, causing you to orgasm and experience the consciousness of Shiva as you do, which is, of course, a very magical experience that most of us men enjoy, probably on a daily basis. And it represents fertility and the male seed and reproduction because it also represents creative energy. But not just any creative energy, but masculine creative energy. And, of course, sexual energy. And there's so much there sexually that we don't need to go too in depth on here. If you want to learn more about sacred sexuality and Tantra, you can check out a spiritual and philosophy channel linked below. But I'm sure you get the idea for now. Now, as for Shiva, the actual god who represents this sacred masculine archetype and the phallus, Shiva is a creator and destroyer, as I said. So he's extremely strong and powerful, the most powerful of the three in the Trinity. And he is the only one who is capable of creating new life. Even Brahma, who created the universe, is not capable of creating life forms themselves like Shiva is. And only Shiva is capable of destroying matter and transforming it into energy and then into new creations and life forms. So Shiva is the god of all life. But Shiva is also the god of death, since life and death go together like yin and yang and cannot exist without one another. So Shiva is deadly and destructive, holding a powerful golden trident as his weapon. He is able to destroy any other god or demon he needs to, even entire legions of them. And Shiva can be dark and scary. He is a great warrior and very violent. He wears the skin of a tiger that he skinned once when he needed clothes. Even the biggest, strongest cat, stronger than the king of the jungle itself, isn't anything the god of death and destruction can't skin in a flick of his fingers. But Shiva's not a macabre, morbid god. He's also full of life and sexual, creative, masculine energy. He is the Father Heavens whose phallus planted the seed of life inside the sacred feminine to give birth to mankind and all other species as well. Shiva breathes life into the universe with his prana, or his breath energy, and seeds it with his Shiva and Shakti energies, which are like yin and yang energies. So Shiva represents many masculine traits, as well as a good balance with the feminine as well, and the sexual union between the sacred masculine and feminine through sex, which is the most creative force in the universe because it is how we create new life. So you get to experience Shiva's spirit and consciousness when you do that, or when you orgasm, at least in a metaphorical sense. Shiva represents the masculine energy and sexuality inside all of us men, simply by virtue of owning a phallus or penis, which is a channel of this energy. So Shiva and the phallic symbol are very great representations of the sacred masculine archetype and philosophies that have been very influential in the world, as there are many Hindus and Buddhists on Earth. I think that together there's more Hindus and Buddhists combined than there are any other religion. All right. However, of course, they are not, the only two big important religions out there. So now that we've covered both Chinese philosophy and Indian philosophy, let's move on from Far Eastern religions to discuss other world religions in the next video. That concludes this video. Thanks for listening. I hope I mansplained that good enough for you. If you like what you heard, please click the like button. And if you feel you gained some value from this video and would like to give some back, please do so with the PayPal link below, because your support helps fund me doing this work and fight the good fight for men like you. If you are ready to take the red pill and wake up from the matrix, well then, I have the perfect book for you. The Bible of Esoteric Knowledge is a super concise, dense, info-packed philosophy textbook, written in the same verse format as the Bible, but combining multiple different, highly esoteric philosophies such as Taoism, Hinduism, Buddhism, shamanism, ancient paganism, and a special balance between theoretical physics and metaphysics, along with some special bonus info on the cryptic secrets of sexuality and death. This book will stimulate your intellectual philosopher's mind like no other, especially since it's a lot shorter and easier to read than most philosophy books made up entirely of run-on sentences and never-ending paragraphs, and can be quite boring and exhaustive. Full of all the most fascinating mystical secrets of the universe, gratify your inner geek and quench your thirst for meaning with the Bible of Esoteric Knowledge. Get your copy at the link below for a special sale price today.